Most people over 50 are told to be careful with eggs. Less cholesterol, more egg whites, avoid the yolk. But what if the real problem isn't the egg? It's the way you're eating it every morning without realizing what it's doing inside your body. Because one small change in how you prepare eggs after 50 may quietly influence your muscle strength, your brain function, your inflammation levels, even how fast your body ages. And almost nobody is talking about it. I'm Dr. Richard, and today we're going to unpack what actually happens inside your body when you eat eggs after 50, and why a simple shift in how you cook them may change everything. Let's start with what changes after 50, because this is where the story really begins. After midlife, your body becomes less efficient at rebuilding muscle. This process is called anabolic resistance, which simply means your muscles don't respond to protein the way they used to. In your 30s, a small amount of protein could trigger muscle repair. After 50, that same amount barely moves the needle. So slowly, silently, muscle begins to decline. Not dramatically at first, but enough to affect metabolism, balance, strength, and even independence later in life. And this is where eggs come in. Because eggs are not just protein. They are one of the most biologically complete protein sources you can eat. Each egg contains all 9 essential amino acids, especially one called leucine. Leucine acts like a switch inside your muscle cells. When enough leucine is present, it activates something called the mTOR pathway, your body's internal signal to start repairing and building muscle. No signal, no repair. And here's the problem most people over 50 don't realize. If you eat eggs, but not enough protein overall, or not in the right form, you may never reach that activation threshold, which means your body stays in a slow breakdown mode, even if you think you're eating healthy. But that's only part of the story, because what most people were told about eggs for decades turns out to be incomplete. For years, eggs were blamed for raising cholesterol. The yolk was treated like the enemy. But modern research tells a very different story. For most people, dietary cholesterol, the kind found in eggs, has surprisingly little impact on blood cholesterol levels. Why? Because your liver adjusts. When you eat more cholesterol, your body often produces less of it internally. It's a balancing system. Large-scale studies from institutions like Harvard and the British Medical Journal have shown that moderate egg consumption is not strongly linked to heart disease in otherwise healthy individuals. But here's where it gets more important after 50. It's not just about cholesterol anymore. It's about inflammation. And this is where that small change begins to matter more than the egg itself. Let's talk about the yolk, because removing the yolk might actually be one of the biggest mistakes older adults make. The yolk is where most of the real nutrition lives. It contains choline, a nutrient critical for brain health. Choline helps your body produce acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter deeply involved in memory, focus, and cognitive processing. As we age, acetylcholine levels naturally decline, which is one reason memory can feel slower, less sharp. Without enough choline, your brain cells struggle to communicate efficiently. But that's not all. The yolk also contains lutein and zeaxanthin, powerful antioxidants that accumulate in the retina of your eyes. Think of them as internal protection, like built-in sunglasses for your vision. They help filter harmful light and reduce oxidative stress, one of the major drivers of age-related eye conditions. So when people throw away the yolk, they're not just removing fat, they're removing brain support, eye protection, and critical cellular nutrients. But here's where things take a turn, because even if you eat the whole egg, even if you're getting the nutrients, there's a hidden factor that can quietly reverse many of these benefits, and it comes down to heat. This is the part almost nobody tells you. When eggs are cooked at high temperatures, especially fried until browned or overcooked, the cholesterol in the yolk can become oxidized. These compounds are called oxysterols, and inside the body, oxysterols behave very differently than natural cholesterol. They can trigger inflammatory responses, damage blood vessels, and contribute to oxidative stress, the very process linked to aging and chronic disease. Now remember, after 50, your body is already more prone to low-grade chronic inflammation. Not the kind you feel, but the kind that slowly affects your joints, your arteries, your metabolism. So when you repeatedly expose egg yolks to high heat, you may unintentionally add fuel to that internal fire. Same food, very different biological outcome. And this is the small change that changes everything. Instead of high heat frying or overcooking, switching to gentle cooking methods can preserve the nutrients and reduce harmful oxidation. Soft-boiled, poached, lightly scrambled over low heat. In these forms, the yolk remains more stable. The fats are less damaged. The nutrients stay intact, and your body receives the benefits without the added inflammatory stress. But we're still not done, because there's another layer most people overlook, and it has nothing to do with the egg itself. It's what you eat with it. Think about a typical breakfast. Eggs with processed meats, white bread, maybe butter or refined oils. This combination creates a very different metabolic environment. Processed meats have been linked to increased inflammation and cardiovascular risk. Refined carbohydrates spike blood sugar, leading to insulin surges and energy crashes. Now combine that with aging metabolism, and you create a perfect storm. Blood sugar instability, increased fat storage, more inflammatory signaling. But when eggs are paired differently, everything changes. Pair them with fiber-rich vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil, whole, unprocessed foods. Now you get stable blood sugar, better satiety, more consistent energy. Same eggs, completely different outcome. So what does this look like in real life? For most adults over 50, a practical approach might be 2 to 3 whole eggs, cooked gently, soft-boiled or lightly scrambled. Combined with vegetables like spinach, tomatoes, or mushrooms, maybe a drizzle of olive oil, and spaced in a way that helps you reach adequate protein intake across the day, because your muscles need consistent signals, not just one large dose. And here's an important note. Eggs are powerful, but they are not magic. They support your biology. They do not replace medical care. If you have diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or are on medications that affect metabolism or blood clotting, it's important to personalize your intake with a healthcare professional. But if you take nothing else from this video, take this. After 50, your body becomes more sensitive, not just to what you eat, but how you prepare it. Eggs can either support muscle strength, brain health, and metabolic stability, or, if handled incorrectly, contribute to the very problems you're trying to avoid. And the difference comes down to a small, overlooked decision you make in the kitchen every day. High heat or gentle cooking, processed pairing or supportive nutrition, whole egg or incomplete nutrition. So now I want to ask you, how are you eating your eggs right now? Fried until crisp, skipping the yolk, or cooking them gently and getting the full benefit? Share your routine in the comments, because small changes like this can make a bigger difference than most people expect. If you found this helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more science-backed health insights designed specifically for adults over 50. I'm Dr. Richard, and I'll see you in the next one.